name is Ezekiel. Hope you are doing well. In today's video, I will be walking you through how I set up, record, and mix live drums for a live concert, which I was also an FOH engineer for the concert. But in this scenario, we were not satisfied enough, and I really not settled enough with the drums lines that I recorded. I really want the room feels, the ambience feels. I want to set up a mono mic and also at least a stereo mic. I'll be able to have a huge drum mix. So I'm going to be taking you through how I set up that, what I use and what I did and how I did it. And I'm going to be playing the drums for you to listen to the raw captured drums and the processed one, which are premixed in the studio, at least for a basic and for good listening one, which I feel is good enough. What I'm doing here is to also encourage people like you or like men, which don't have expensive gadget to record in a home or small studios like that. All of the drum mics are inexpensive microphones from Yoga 5K drum mic and GTS GS1T, a condenser microphone, which I use for the mono room, which is in distance of 5 to 4 feet from the drums. And this microphone, which I also use, a vocal mic, which is not even known. It's not like a professional and a huge one like that. But even when I spoke into the microphone, doesn't have much that quality. But I needed something to capture the room, which I know and I believe in the post-production, it's gonna sound at least more better than. So I needed something. I would have used condenser mic that I have, but I don't have a condenser mic that has same frequency response and match each other to do such job. So I just use what is available at that moment. So let's go into the room. You will see the setup which I have done. Hi guys. All right, this is where we get to now. I'm managing the microphone that is here. So before you criticize this one, what I'm doing here is I just need a signal which I'm going to be processing on. So I believe it's not that going to be worse and might not that be perfect like the standard pro when you have an expensive toned microphone for the specifications. I only manage what I have here. So here is the dynamic mic. However, it sounds like I just want to capture close by room mic. So what I'm doing is a pair of our stereo, which is centered to the drums. If we take a look at that. So I have a pair of that. And now going back to, I'm having GTS condenser mic. Yeah, which it also sounds good. It's inexpensive microphone tools. I'm using as a mono close by. If you can look at this place on each hole. So, what I'm trying to do is just to have a good signal. I know this is going to be performing well. So it's centered to the drums if you look at it here. So by the time I'm doing the sound checking, testing sound, I'm going to be aligning this very well to make sure it sounds center as I want. So that's that. The kick mic, I'm gonna be repositioning it well. Now, if I want to sound check, I'm starting from there. Going to reposition, you might not see. So it's going to be a bit close to the beta. Between a bit off arcs of the beta, there's a pillow inside to damp the sound. So this is Yoga microphone, which I also love. It's an inexpensive microphone, and what it does, I love the tone to an extent. So gonna be adjusting it to have a nice sound, which I want, not that too heavy. I'm not doing kick out. I'm only doing kick in. So in the mixing, I can still be doing more to that. So that's what I have here. So everything I'm going to be doing is like, I call it a pre-EQ when you have them well positioned, like tuning the input signal. Before doing EQ at all, it's going to give you a nice tone. So this is the tone mic. What I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to position not that into center. I want to pick more of the ring. So depending on how it sounds, still going to be lifting mic up a bit or just leave it that way. So I'm shining. I know it's going to be picking from the symbol of the right here. I know that there's nothing you can do about that as such. And also this one's they are offers to each other. Same way I'm positioning that. Now back to the Snare bottom. All right, I'm having a snare bottom. It's going to be aligning with the top mic. I'm using SM57, so I'm still using yoga because of the kit. So it's not that close to the wire. I'm going to be aligning it with each other to make sure it's aligned with the snare top mic, which is going to be the center. And I'm going to be adjusting it to tune just like I'm pre-EQing my signal. I wanted to have a ring, the body, a tone in the microphone. So this is facing the center. But if I'm not good with that, I'm going to be readjusting that. This same goes to the floor tom mic. Everything is going to be pre-EQ'd by positioning. So I'm having the overhead mic, in which I'm going to be measuring from the center of the microphone to make sure I have stereo and center snare in that. And this is also SM57, which is going to give me a pro-spin tone. I've used SM58 to mic drums and love the vintage tone which it gives me. So what I'm doing here is positioning this one to be close to this one, and to have a crispy, nice tone, I'm going to be distancing it a bit. Welcome back. Now, before I move on, so I would love to play the drums for you without being processed. Then I will solo each drum kit up for you to listen to how it sounds like in the mix before I go into the proper processing which I have done. Okay, let's listen to this one now. That's the drums that you've just listened to, raw, the way it was captured. So now let me go into that again. I'm going to be playing the drums for you or processed with the mix which I've just done, basically. So let's listen to how it sounds like in this one. Now you've just listened to the mix that I've done for the drums. Now I'm going to be putting you through each of the drum kits. Then I'll solo each kit with a processed one, and I will bypass the plugins that I put on it. So you listen to without and with it, so you can fully understand. Then I will quickly tell you what I did on that and how it happened. But I'm going to be opening the plugin that I use and why I used them, why I choose the plugins that I use and for it and what it's doing for me and the reason behind what I'm doing in this scenario. Okay, let's see that now. All right, on the kick, so I have API 550 it is. So take a look at this one. I'm boosting 8K and up to 6 dB to enhance that high frequency on the kick. So I'm also attenuating to 40 hertz, which is I'm cutting away to 40 hertz from the mid frequency, and I'm also boosting up to 9 dB on 40 hertz. The next one is the API 2500. Take a look at the compression setting, which I have done here. Threshold, the attack, the ratios, that's that. So lastly, on the kick is the Lindell 80 channel series. I so much love this one. I love Lindell plugins, 69 series, 80 series, 50 series. So I choose this one for this scenario. I love to use this one. I love the vintage tone, the character on it. It makes me to feel the real mixing on or recording on that analog console. So I'm cutting out 45 hertz from the low frequency for cleaning low response. I'm also boosting 35 hertz on that low frequency to have more punching on the low end. The high frequency, I'm cutting away about negative 9 dB. So I'm also boosting 10K upward. Then I'm cutting out anything from 10K upward. So which the frequency that sound harsh and which I don't want in my mix. I want my mix to sound clean. That's about it. So this is the release time. I'm giving the recovery a fast recovery time so that kick can punch. I can have the response of the kick. Boom, boom on that one. Look at the threshold. The dry mix is about 80 something percentage. I don't want the compression to overwhelm the kick signal. Take a look at that now. So take a look at the snare drum, like I said. So first, the plugin is Kramer tape. The input level and the output level, they are 6 dB in, 6 dB out, because the more I go to the 0 dB, it's going to fuse and it's going to cause more distortion, and I don't need much distortion on this particular signal. Take a look at the tape. And the next one, API, take a look at the setting now. The threshold is -4, the attack is 3, the ratio is 4:1, the release time is 200 ms, so it can create a smooth. I don't want the compression release to go beyond that, so because it's going to tame the tail of the snare drum. Now, the next one, the API EQ, I'm boosting 8K up to 9 dB, and I'm attenuating to 40, and I'm boosting 200 up to 6 dB. The reason why I'm boosting the 8K up to 9 dB, so the ring and the shell of the snare drum can sound. I can feel the natural tone of the snare drum. And the next one is the Lindell 80 channel series. I love this one, and I choose this one for this recording. So about 3 dB on 10K. And the 3.2K, I'm boosting up to 5 dB plus on that too. I'm also boosting 110 up above 3 dB on that. So I'm rolling off anything from 70 hertz, so the kick will not be sound too much on that, so I can have a clean sound. So anything from 10K above, I'm cutting them away. I want my signal to clean. So look at the compressor. The dry wet as in 50%. I want true dry signal to come out. At the same time, the compression signal and the true signal will come out, and it blends so real good. I love that. That's about that. So let me show you what's going on the snare bottom. The same thing, likewise, virtually the same setting, but take a look at the way it's like. I'm going to play that for you, and I'm blending them together. The threshold on the compressor is -4, the attack is 1 because of the way it responds on the snare bottom. So I want a fast attack on that. So the release time this time around is 500 ms. Take a look at the setting. Now back to the API, look at the EQ. I'm boosting 5K here up to 9 dB. I'm cutting down -2 on the low mid frequency, which is for the 500 hertz, and I'm boosting 100 hertz up to 6 dB to create bottom and a smooth chroming response. So let's listen to the way the snares sound like, and I'm going to blend the two together. So you could listen to the way when I blend the two together, it sustains the snare drum more a bit and it brings more the saturation out of the snare drum, which is so much lovely. I love the matching rhythm that the drummer is playing on that section. So it brings out the beauty of that snare drum. And one more thing that I did, I flipped the polarity of the snare drum. So just listen to the difference. So you could listen to the difference when I turn off the polarity buttons like sound and faces. So I have to turn on that so that the polarity can go in line with each other. Let me show you what I use on the group of toms. So probably I'm gonna be letting you to listen to the way it sound processed now. Okay, let's take a look. Firstly, like I explained earlier on, so I use the Kramer Ultra, the signal. Take a look at this one because I want a kind of little distortion, vintage tone. On the bias, I use over on the speed, it's 15 like I use that. So the flux, and take a look at the wall flutter, the 50 percentage and the flux. So this is going to be having the tape emulation character on the tom. Take a look at the compressor, -4 on the threshold. The attack is fast attack, the ratio is 4:1, and the release time is 500 ms. I want a kind of smooth. And now the next one is the API EQ. So I'm boosting 5K up to 6 dB, and I'm also boosting 6K up to 6 dB, and I'm attenuating to 40 -4. That's what I'm cutting the low mid frequency, which does not make the tom to sound good on that. I'm boosting 100 Hz up to 6 dB. On this one, I have similar settings on the high tom and on the mid tom, except for the floor tom. So take a look at the linearity series channel. I'm cutting off anything below 70 Hz. I'm boosting 110 Hz up to 6 point something dB. The mid and leave the mid frequency default setting, and on the high frequency, I'm boosting up to over 6 dB, 10K. Also, fast release on the compressor and slow attack. The ratio is 3:1. That's the amount of compression on the tom. The threshold is -4, and sidechain high pass filter is what that one is doing, and I'm compressing anything above 150. So anything below 150 is not compressed. That's the character I want on this one. So similar thing with the mid tom. Take a look at the setting here. So I have the same setting on that. So I copy from the high mid to down. So, but just a little difference on this one is I'm cutting out about -5 dB on 700 Hz, and I'm boosting about 7 dB on 10K, and boosting 110 also on the low frequency, and the compressor and the gates are the same, except for the floor tom. Take a look at that, boosting up to 6 dB on 60 Hz, then I'm attenuating -7 on 360 Hz, and I'm also boosting about 7 dB on 10K. Take a look at the low frequency I'm cutting out is 70 Hz. I'm also cutting away anything above 10K. And something that I forgot to tell you, I use Midas M32R to capture the drums. So let's listen to the 3 toms with the plugins on. So that are the toms. So let's listen to the toms with the snare drum, how they both sound like on this one. Now, the interesting thing, which this is where I'm going. Now, this is the special part of the, don't mind me. So, what I'm going to be talking about, the mono room, I use a GTS condenser microphone. So, you already listened to the way it sounds like. I'm going to be showing you what I use. So, on the Kramer tape, 3 dB on the record level, 3 dB on the playback level, so that I won't have a distortive sound on the signal. And take a look at the compressor. So I'm having the similar setting on the compressor with the toms. And look at the EQ. I'm attenuating -4 on 500 Hz. I'm boosting 50 Hz. So I'm also boosting 8K plus 3 dB. On the Lindell, look at the setting, cutting out the 10K and boosting 60 Hz up to 6 point something dB. Also attenuating 360 Hz up to 7 something dB, and also boosting 10K. Take a look at the fast recovery time, mid ratio 3:1, -4 on threshold. Then dry wet is in 50%. I'm also compressing anything above 100 Hz. Anything below that is not compressing on the room mic. That's about the room. So let's just listen to how it sounds like again. The room alone. That's the room plus the rest of the kit. So now let's take a look at what's on the overhead mics and on the room mics. On OH, also having chroma tape, and the speed is 7.5, bias is over the record level and the playback level, so they are in unit gain, so that I can have more distortive signal. That's about that. So you've already listened to how it sounds like, but so in this scenario, like I explained the EQs before the compressor this time around, I'm boosting 15K up to 4 dB on the high frequency so that they can enhance the high end of overheads. I'm also alternating 500 Hz up to -4, and I'm also boosting 200 Hz up to 6 dB. And about the API 2500, take a look at the setting. In this one, I don't want much compression on the overhead. So take a look at the setting here. And the Lindell, also boosting 16K up to over 5 dB plus, and I'm attenuating 700 Hz up to -7. Also boosting 110 Hz over 4 dB is in the mid speed on the recovery time. The threshold 3:1, I don't want much compression on that, and the threshold is -4, and the dry wet mix knob is in the 50%. So let's listen to how that sound without and with. So let's listen to how this one sounds in blend with the rest of the kit. So hope you could hear the difference when I turn it on and when I turn it off. That's about the OH. And let's listen to how the room sound like. I'm gonna mute everything now. But first, let's see what I do on that also. Virtually the same setting on the chroma tape for the room mics and API. So I'm boosting this time around on API 550B EQ. I'm boosting 500 Hz up to 4 dB. Also boosting a 7K up to 4 dB. That's about that. So lastly, the Lindell channel strip. I'm also boosting 10K about 2 dB. I'm also alternating 700 Hz about -5 dB. On 110 Hz, I'm boosting 6 dB plus on that. Also, cutting anything below 450 Hz, I'm also cutting anything above 10K. And take a look at the recovery time. I'm giving it average speed on the recovery time. The ratio is 3:1 and -4 dB on the threshold. The dry mix knob is in the 50%. Like I said, I still want the true signal to pass through. The compression is going to be balancing. Now listen to how the room sound like before I moved on to the drum bass. Now you could hear the difference between when I turn it on, when I turn it off, even when I solo it. Okay, let's go on to the drum box. Let's see what I use on that to also make my drums sound more better than the natural one. Okay, so take a look at the first thing I do here is I use Kive Expressor. I so much love this plugin. It has different features. I love the vintage tone, the British style, and the other style that has. And what I'm doing here is the input level is in default setting, which is -2. I don't want the signal to punch in into the compressor too much. Then the attack level is in default setting. I adjusted the release time. I don't want too long release on the bus compressor, so I want a moderate compression and the release time on the drum bus. And after that, look at what I did about the EQ. So take a look at this one. Before I move to the final one, I'm going to open the archive tape between the virtual tape emulation. I'm going to be bypassing both plugins. Then I'll play the drums. I'll turn it on one after the other so you can hear the difference. I believe you could hear the subtle response of the compression on the drums. It adds a little bit of fatness and a kind of focus and control. So I'm going to be turning on Multitrack EQ now, so you listen to what it adds to the whole drum kit for me. You can hear the contribution of the two. What I'm trying to let you know is that I had a subtle compression, subtle EQ, kind of moderation on the output response of the drums. So let's see what's going to happen. I'm turning on the Kive tape. So let's listen to how it sounds on the whole drum kit. Listen to that now. This is where I'm going to be stopping now. So let's listen to everything just one more time. I'm going to be turning on all the plugins. I'll turn it on. Let's listen to it before I say goodbye for now. That's the end of all today's video. Put down your comment below what do you think about the recording. You've heard the raw drums and you've also listened to the processed one, which I've mixed one. That's where I'm going to be stopping for now. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're new to this channel. Also, don't forget to share this video to everyone and that might need this. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.